21, he's seen the fights. Johnny's 58, chasing the lights. Both had battles that brought them low, but they found a way to steal the show. Health concerns were weighing them down till they found a path that turned it around. Carnivore diet, they took the leap, finding strength in the promises they keep. Now they're living wild, living free, healing body and mind. Just wait and see. Tune into the truth every single week. Real talk with Brian and Johnny. That's the peak. 8 p.m. on YouTube. Gather near. Uplifting vibes. Let's give a cheer.
All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. We got a special guest today. We have Rick Rodriguez on with us, known as Charger Mopar. Rick, how you doing?
Not bad, other than the usual trials.
All right. Johnny, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic, Brian. Just having an unusually good day today. I hope that's an omen for the show, but I'm just having a great day today, and I'm feeling good. And a tickle pink that Rick's here, and we're actually on the internet. You know, me and Rick tried to do this once when you were out, when you were helping your daughter move, and there was a technical problem. StreamYard sent me an email. The thing never loaded, so me and Rick did an entire show just for me and Rick. So good to have Rick on tonight, where we both can get in here and enjoy Rick's company.
All right. So tonight, like I said, we got Rick on with us. Our topic is longevity on Carnivore. And the reason why we picked this is because, Rick, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're at 42 years this month, right?
Yeah, I started in August of 1983 on the carnivore diet.
There you go. 42 years of doing the carnivore diet. That right there tells you all you need to know about longevity. But Rick, for people that I'm sure most people that watch know who you are, but for anybody that's watching or will watch the replay that doesn't really know who you are, can you just give us a quick background about yourself?
Well, one thing they could do, they could watch the interview you did a couple of years ago, or they could just go on YouTube and look for the 39, 40, or 41-year carnivore. I'm sure now it'll be the 42-year carnivore. And that doesn't mean a 42-year-old carnivore. It means someone that has been on the carnivore diet all that time. Although I have to admit, in 1993, I wanted a plant-based diet from January till about July or August. I don't know exactly when I got really sick. But then after that, it was like, no more plants for me. It's going to be meat all the way.
All right. I'm going to just catch us up on some comments here and say hi to some people that have dropped in. We got quite a few people actually that have joined so far. If you want to, feel free to say hello in the chat, ask any questions. If you have a question, just put a capital Q in the front of it so that it's easy to see that there's a question. We got Meathead is here. Hello. Lizzie is here. Frugal Prepper's Garage, waiting on Rick the Iguana Lover. Sandy is here. Target Prime Rib is also here.
Sandy.
So good to see some people in here. All right. Again, if you have a question, where I posted it somewhere. Yeah. Just put a Q in the front of the question. Ask us anything. Ask Rick anything. We've got some more people here. Hello, Josephine.
Hey, Josephine.
Brian.
I see a lot of my great subscribers that are here. I'm glad you're here.
Cool.
Everybody's tuning in.
We're glad to have everybody.
Ricky is here.
Everyone here is top on my list. That's for sure.
So apparently it's Sandy's birthday. So happy birthday, Sandy.
Oh,
awesome.
Happy birthday.
All right. All right. So I don't want to do all the talking. So you guys do some talking here. What do we want to talk about with longevity on Carnivore? Don't see any questions coming in yet, but what do we want to talk about here? Like Rick, sorry, go ahead. John's got something, I think, right?
Yeah, I was just a perfect segue. Okay. Rick and I both graduated high school in 1986. I was in Georgia, Rick was in Florida, but Rick and I are almost the same age. I have not been a carnivore for 42 years. I have been standard American diet my entire life. Now, it's a great parallel. Rick and I are both from the same part of the country, the hot Southeast. We're almost the same age. I'm a little bit older than Rick, not much. We went to public high school. We have very similar background. I have been sick with some high blood pressure, AFib, arthritis, anxiety and depression, type 2 diabetes. I have been sick my entire adult life. Juxtapose that with Rick, who has done the carnivore diet for 42 years. So many similarities, but look at the difference. Rick, what kind of disease processes have you suffered from for the last 42 years?
I've had chronic sinus issues. That's it.
Nothing else?
That's it. What else could there be? You name it, I don't have it.
Yeah. And I think you said on one of your videos one time, or one of your lives, actually, I was watching your live, there may be some mold issues in your house, whatever, from a leak after a storm, and maybe that might contribute to some of your sinus issues. Plus,
my house is loaded.
Part of the country.
Yeah, my house is loaded with mold, mildew, termites. I mean, it's falling apart. It's old. It's probably the worst of the worst, but it doesn't really bother me that much. I guess I got used to it.
Sure. But I guess my point being there, if you didn't have those issues, you may not even have the sinus issues, which means you have literally zero. Because I go to the doctor all the time, Rick, because I'm a middle-aged man. How often do you go to the doctor?
The last time I went to the doctor was in 1996.
Wow. So, Brian, that kind of gets to what we were saying, about longevity. I mean, here's a really good micro comparison between two guys, same part of the country, graduated high school the same year, a lot of the same. I grew up I went dirt poor, but I was pretty darn close to it. And I don't think Rick was living in a mansion his whole life. So we had very, very similar backgrounds. I've been sick my whole adult life. Rick has never really been sick. So people think, oh, the carnivore diet is not that great. It's not. This is the perfect comparison right here. Rick has been healthy and well, and he's been productive his whole life. And I've spent time in the hospital, time in the emergency room. A lot of my time and money has been spent in doctors and hospitals. Rick's never had that. Rick's been a carnivore. I've been doing standard American diet. So just that in itself. And Rick and I both are getting close to 60 years old, right, Rick? I mean, eventually
that's
we'll be
right. There. 3 more years, I'll be 60.
Yeah, 2.5 for me. So.
But look, I mean, I have no gray hair, and I work physically every single day. In fact, today I was just cleaning out a house, and I got a bunch of stuff that I picked up from the dumpster at the school. I loaded that in my front yard. I've been back and forth. It's been 93 to 95 degrees. I've been sweating it out. Haven't gotten dizzy or sick or anything. I know you recently got dehydrated, but I've never had that happen to me. I've come close to it. I've had times where I had to sit down, but I felt it coming. And then I let it calm down, and I avoided it because I've never been in a hospital. I've never been admitted to a hospital. The last time I was on a prescription, it came in a glass bottle. It was a cough syrup, and I still have those glass bottles. So I've never had any kind of prescription in a plastic container. And I did break my arm. That was in 83. That was before. That's kind of what started me on the carnivore diet, because I didn't want to go to high school with a broken arm. And it's a long story, but I think I've told the story many times. But I was a very skinny and very short kid, and I was really a frustrated kid, and my emotions were up and down, and I didn't care. I told my dad, I said, I'd rather have a heart attack than have to go to high school and get picked on. I've seen all those movies where the kids go to high school and they stick them in a locker and they pick them up by the underwear to get a wedgie and all that. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. So I figured, well, I broke my arm. That'll get me out of school for a couple of weeks. But if I could give myself heart disease, that'd be even better. But of course, how many teenagers in the 80s had heart disease? I don't know of any. But, my twisted mind, I thought that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I definitely remember you telling that story when you were on my channel. So here's the one thing he talked about: no gray hair. He's also got like a full head of hair. As you can see, I got like the receding thing here going and everything. But I'm the same way. Like for my first 48 years, I did the standard diet. There you go. So I've only been on carnivore for 3 years. All right, I'm gonna catch us up on a few comments that I've seen come in here.
Even my eyebrows are thick.
Yep, they are. No Slow says trying to watch this Rick and the retired Rick live stream at the same time. Well, I'm glad that you're checking us out.
Gary's
As
an
well?
awesome fan.
Smooth 42 says evening, everybody. Hello.
Good evening. These are all my great subscribers.
George, good enough. Sorry I'm late. I'm here now. All right.
Yep.
Good
And
to see
he's
you.
on a live as well on Sunday. Sunday.
All right. Scooby, good evening,
Ellen.
Rick.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello, handsome co-host and chat for chat for us. I don't know
Yes.
about handsome co-host, but
They
Bill's here.
are. They are.
Target says Rick is Duckman and Milton is Iguana Boy.
Milton's
Are we
watching
gonna?
you.
This I say. Are we gonna see an appearance from Milton tonight?
He might attack me. You never know. I'll get my blood pressure above the level of a cadaver. You've seen my blood pressure, haven't you?
Yep. Okay, so looks like is George interviewing you for coming up?
Oh, I'm sure he will. I mean, I've been on the channel before. He's often with the carnivore teacher, John Laspina. So, and they have their live on Sunday afternoon.
Yep. All right. Booby Goats is here.
Booby Goats.
Hey, Aaron. Every one of these people are subscribers to my channel, so you know they're the best. There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
Jim,
He's gonna
coming on
stay in the
channel.
channel tonight. Mandy is here. Hello.
Hey, Mandy.
Let's see. Iguana Nation. Yes, Iguana Nation. So I'm not sure. I might have missed something. Let's see what this says. Good for you, Aaron. I've got a huge pile. I tend to throw in on a bed in the spare room. Just take them from there. I think I missed something earlier in the chat. Sorry. I don't know what
About
happened
folding
there.
clothes, I'm going to guess. I don't know,
Yeah.
but maybe about folding clothes.
Oh, it could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
All right. I think I kind of got caught up in the chat here. Oh, yeah. Here we go. I had it starred and I never showed it. Everyone, guess what? I'm folding laundry. There you go.
She's got a big family.
Okay, so let's see here. We are talking about longevity on the carnivore diet, and really there's like not much else to say other than 42 years. That's incredible. And I know one of the main things that you've talked about before when I've interviewed you, Rick, is there was a time period, and I think it was still back in the 80s, that you tried to do like vegan style for like 2 weeks or something.
1993, it was 7
that?
months.
93.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
It was 93. Because after Hurricane Andrew in 92, I was with my parents and I was eating meat constantly. There were no fruits and vegetables available because ever since the beginning, I hate fruits and vegetables. And the only time I've eaten them is when I had nothing else to eat. And I would only eat stuff that grew in my yard. I don't like to eat anything from the store because you don't know where it's been. And I don't know. I just don't like the idea of people having to go in the hot sun, pick vegetables, basically slave labor, transporting these things all over the world. Then you buy them. Half of them go bad in the refrigerator. It just doesn't make any sense. So after Andrew, every tree around here was stripped. Everything down south was destroyed. So there were no fruits and vegetables at all. Because with my parents, once in a while, I'd have an orange, I'd have, banana or whatever. But after Andrew, I had nothing. And I had so much meat because everybody's power went out and people had good stuff. They had ribeye steaks, the filet mignon. They had seafood. They had everything you could imagine. I ate up all the seafood and all that stuff first, but the beef, since it would last the longest, that's what I was eating. I was eating nothing but beef and that no dairy, nothing, just beef because I had so much of it. I had chuck rolls and everything. I must have had a couple 100 pounds of meat that I got because everybody was giving it to me because everybody knew that I was a carnivore. And I kept eating meat and meat and meat and meat. Never took any vitamins, never any fruits and vegetables. And my parents were like, how in the world can you do this? You're going to get sick. You're going to get colon cancer. You're going to get heart disease. I said, yeah, I know I'm going to get a heart attack. I'm fine with that. But it was just the constant pressure. My dad kept getting these articles from the Prevention magazine and all these books that he had. And I still have some of those books They're trying to tell you how important phytonutrients are. You have to eat these plants, the whole grains. You have to have the whole grains. I mean, how can you live without that? And I got sick and tired of hearing it. So I told them, I said, look, beginning of next year, which will be 93, I'm going to try, because my dad ate that stuff, the juices, the seaweed, all the vegetable crap. My dad did eat some meat. He ate, but he would only eat like chicken breast and some seafood, and that was it. Didn't like beef. He thought that beef was bad for you, give you colon cancer and heart disease. So I tried it. And the thing is, at first it was okay, but the longer I went on the plant-based diet, the worse I got. Next thing you know, I got constant diarrhea. I got gas, really bad gas, which I'd never had. I mean, you feel like you got an air hose stuck in your rear end and your intestines are blowing up. And then you're thinking, if I make a fart, I may have a terrible accident. So they say, don't trust the fart. It was bad. And you get in an elevator and the thing goes up and down and the gas is building and all of a sudden it starts coming out and everybody in the elevator is going like this and everybody's getting sick, and then you have to pretend like, that you're disgusted too. And then of course it's just terrible. The smell. I mean, if you could imagine, you ever had like plants when you put it in water and then like flowers or whatever, and you don't change the water, and it gets that nasty smell. It's just like that, but then mixed with rotten eggs. Horrible smell. And it makes your eyes water. It's so bad. And then the other times, you're riding around in a car or something, you hit a bump and all of a sudden you get a fart and then it's like you have a giant mess. It was really bad. And my dad says, you'll get used to it. It'll get better. But it never got better. It got worse and worse and worse. And I'm going to the bathroom 4, 5, 6 times a day. I can't live like that. How can I work when I go to the bathroom? I work outside, or if I'm working doing tech work, I can't do that. So with my diet, it was usually I go to the bathroom at breakfast or lunchtime and one and done every day. But this was awful. And then I got the flu. It took me down like crazy. Couldn't eat, had trouble breathing. It was terrible. I never had anything like that in my life. When I was younger, I used to get strep throat, the sore throat, and I got ear infections. And when I went on the carnivore diet, I didn't get that anymore. But then I got back to the stupid plant-based diet and I got a horrible sore throat, migraine headaches. I mean, it was terrible. Usually on Saturday morning, I'd get a migraine. I'd have to stay in bed till noon or the afternoon to feel better. And it was just awful. So, but after that plant-based diet failed, I told my dad, I said, no way in where I will ever do this again because it's not worth it. And the other thing too, it really wasn't any cheaper. And it was just a pain in the neck because you have to constantly grind this crap up. You get the juice, and this nasty green juice is coming out. And then you're trying to eat all these stupid grains. And then you got to make this whole wheat crap and wheat germ and oatmeal. Oh, that oatmeal. Oh, I hated that stuff. It's like paste mixed with seeds. It's just like flattened out seeds and paste. It's disgusting. I mean, it's just, none of that stuff tastes good. The beans, the worst. They're mushy. They taste bad. And then they give you gas and you get diarrhea. It's just awful. And believe me, I will never, ever do that again. I'd rather be dead than go on the plant-based diet.
So let me ask you this. You said that you got the flu. Then you went back to the carnivore diet after that attempt. How many times have you had the flu since then?
I get the flu about 3 times out of the year. And I'll tell you what it is. It starts out as I don't feel that energetic. I can work, but it's like I don't feel great. And then sometimes my knuckles will hurt, my feet will hurt, and then I get a headache. The headache lasts anywhere from 10, 12 hours all day. And then the next day I get the sinus thing, the nose blowing, the sneezing, sometimes a bout of sneezing, then nose blowing, then sneezing. Usually by the 3rd day, I'm feeling better. And I've never had the flu last more than 4 days. Sometimes if it's really bad, I'll feel cold and shiver, but then that's it. I never get the respiratory part. It's always up here. It's like the head, the nose, because I have the chronic sinus issue. But I think it actually protects me because as soon as I get sick, and I'm always the first one to get it. When the bad flu is going around, I'm the first one to get it. I always get it first. And then after that, no problem. some of my other friends, sometimes a month later, they'll get the flu. And for them, it's horrible. They get aches and pains and respiratory coughing. I mean, my one friend, he'll cough and cough and cough, and it sounds terrible. I hardly ever cough. Usually it's just a lot of sneezing, sneeze and sneeze. And I can usually work even when I'm sick. And you know, I know it's not just a cold because I do get a little bit like cold, get a little bit of a fever, maybe a little, the headache. Usually the headache is a giveaway. If it's just a cold, which I hardly ever get, believe it or not, it's probably been several years since I've had a cold. I just don't get colds. I usually get the flu. And then, like I said, within 4 days, it's usually not even noticeable. I mean, it's no worse than my sinus condition. I may go for a couple of weeks with a little more sniffling and sneezing than normal. Aches and pains are gone. Strength is back. I'm back working. I'm back on my bicycle. No problem. So it's really not that bad.
Okay. So the moral of the story that I got here is, yes, you still get sick, but it's so much better than what it was when you had that 7-month period that you were doing the vegan diet. So that I think that's a good point, because, you know, a lot of times you'll hear people just come out there and say like, oh, you don't get sick anymore. And I know I've gotten sick since I've been a carnivore too. But I've had the same thing. Like, I'll get sick, but it doesn't last as long, or it's not, the symptoms aren't as bad, that kind of thing. So that's the real story. That's the truth. Let's catch up on a couple comments here. Mandy says she's subbed to Rick and she subbed to all of us now. Carnivore saved my life. Saved me. So that is great to hear, Mandy, and thank you for subscribing. United Carnivore says greetings from Tampa Bay. Hello. Retired Rick is here.
There's a
thought he was on a live stream, so I don't know if he just stopped in for a little bit or what. Yeah, somebody say get back to your live stream.
He has one every Wednesday, so that's good. I try to check it out.
Yeah. And George is here from Europe, so it's late for him, like middle of the night. So that's great that he's here. So that is pretty cool. All right. A lot of chatting going on. I don't really see any comments. If you do or any questions, I mean, if you do have a question, just put a Q in front of it so we can see it. Johnny, you got any questions for Rick that you want to ask him?
Well, not so much for Rick right now. I'm sure I'll think of something. But before we came on, Brian, I did one of your tricks. I did a Chat GPT, and I asked Chat GPT what country had the highest meat consumption and the highest longevity, right? And it kind of went off into like, well, meat consumption and longevity, blah, blah, blah. But it did say Hong Kong had a very high meat, in their diet, a high percentage of meat in their diet, and they tend to live long. So I said, well, what country has the highest intake of meat per capita and has a long? And said, oh, well, that's Hong Kong. They have, I don't know, 73 kilograms per person per year of, or 137 kilograms of meat per person per year, and they have the highest lifespan. So I said, well, isn't it fair to say that eating red meat can increase your lifespan? And it, it kind of said, yeah, I see what you're saying, but maybe not, because there's other factors. And so I kind of went back and forth with it. So I'm having this conversation with Chat GPT. I don't even know what I'm doing. But it said, would you like for me to give you a diet plan and an exercise plan? And I said, no, thank you. I'm a carnivore, been carnivore 2 years. I cut out all processed food, all sugars, and I'm thriving, doing the best I've ever done in my life. And so, oh, right, great to hear that. The carnivore diet does do this. It lowers your A1C. If you can combine it with good sleep and some exercise and getting sunshine, you can live a much longer life. And so I was just going through all that, and it said, do you want me to make you like a custom plan? And I said, sure. And it basically said, we recommend sprinting and eating ferments along with your food. And it's funny because on your video today, you talked about ferments, Brian. And so that's one thing I've done the last 3 weeks. I'm having to have either some yogurt or I finished my cottage cheese, by the way. I got to get some more. They were sold out today, so I got to get some more. I'm doing the kefir and I'm doing the sauerkraut, which when I bought the sauerkraut, I put it in the closet under a blanket for a month. So I let it continue to ferment for a month in a dark closet upstairs under a blanket to try to get the rest of the fermentation process, make sure. And so it's pretty cool that Chat GPT basically said the same thing that you said on your video today, and kind of what I've been incorporating lately. And like I said earlier, Brian, I don't know, man, I'm just hitting on all cylinders. I just feel amazing. The last couple of weeks has been great, and today has just been off the charts. I wish everybody could feel this good. I'm starting to think that maybe this is how Rick feels every day. Is this how you feel, Rick? You just feel good? I mean, when you have no pain, no aches, plenty of energy, I don't know, it's just amazing. I wish I could have lived my last 40 years like Rick did. But
you've seen me on my bike.
Yeah. I didn't see your AutoZone trip. I watched a video yesterday. It was a part 1 and part 2 where you went to, I can't remember where you went. I think you went to the grocery store to see if they had any meat on sale or whatever. But I didn't get a chance today to watch the one where you went to AutoZone. I did see the thumbnail. I'll go back and watch it. But I've been working on my own video all day today. I did a 9-minute video today, and it took me about 9 hours to film it, edit it, and get it loaded and everything. And then my wife wanted me to go to the store with her. So I'll go back, Rick, and watch the trip to AutoZone, because your bike riding videos are my all-time favorites. If you guys haven't watched Rick, I'm sure you all have, because you all have subscribers. But watch Rick on that bicycle. I get out of breath watching him. I don't get it.
So I think Rick is kind of doing like me, and he basically just records the video and posts it up there like that. I've kind of gotten to that point. I used to be like you, Johnny, and I used to spend hours editing this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even think people care. Like, I think they just want a real person talking truth to them. So I gotten to the point that basically now the only thing I might edit out is like if I make some kind of a really big mistake, or like at the very beginning, there's usually when I hit record, there's like a couple seconds of some weird stuff. So I'll cut that out. Otherwise, I just throw it out there now. It just saves so much more time, and then it gives me more time to be able to watch some of the other channels, which kind of takes me to a question we have. I recognize Rick, but I'm not familiar with the other hosts and their channels. So I am Brian, known as Wick, or Wick Goes Carnivore is my channel. And Johnny in the middle here is known as the Carnivore Champion. And I'm going to put really quick our channels up so you can see it. At Wickivore is mine. At the Carnivore Champion is Johnny's.
We welcome you.
Let me see, make sure where I'm at. If there was another question that came in. Rick's checking his blood pressure here for us. This isn't a question, but be careful of the AI info. Every day I see wrong info in there. Yeah, you do have to watch. I will say it seems like it's getting better, and I've been able to ask it questions. Like I did that one live stream we did where I asked it a few questions and things were good. Here you go. There he is. 42 years carnivore, 93 over 66 with a pulse of 64.
Wow.
Amazing.
Not bad.
Rick, how many blood pressure pills are you on?
What's a blood pressure pill?
So I'm just checking to see if there's any questions. There's a lot of comments in the chat here, guys. I don't think I see any questions. But back here real quick so you can see these are our channel names if you want to check that out. I've had my channel, I don't know, about a little over 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And I do some interviews at carnivores. Rick was my very first carnivore interview that I did. And we're working on setting up a time. I'm going to have him back to kind of do an update interview. So be able to update. That was, I think you were at 40 years then. So now you're at 42. So
yeah,
a nice update. Yep. Johnny, how long have you had your channel?
Right at 2 years. I had a channel for a while. It was called The Champion Within. I actually did, when my mom was still alive, she was really concerned about my weight and my health, and she wanted me to lose weight. And of course, I had watched that show Biggest Loser for all those years. So I went on the crash diet where I ate very low fat. I ate grilled chicken, rice, and broccoli every day for a year. Lost 100 pounds. Felt absolutely miserable. And I started the channel then, trying to encourage people to lose weight and get in shape. But after my mom died, as soon as she died, she got to see me, smaller and quote unquote healthier, even though I really wasn't any healthier. I put all the weight back on. So I kind of quit with that channel because it wouldn't make any sense for a 350-pound guy to have a channel about being healthy. So, so I brought it back, and it was the champion within for a while. And then somebody said, nobody's going to, there you go. Good job. When somebody said you need to have carnivore somewhere in your title so that people who want to do the carnivore diet will know how to find you. So I changed it from the champion within to the carnivore champion, and it's done pretty well. I enjoy making the videos. I got a comment. One of my videos I got today, my video from today, the very first comment was, the reason we watch you is because you're a genuine person and we like real people. So that was pretty cool that somebody recognized that I'm not all polished. I talk way too fast in my videos. I go back and watch the videos and I'm like, oh man, what an idiot. But it's working pretty well. I've got a little over 3,300 subscribers, and it's doing pretty well. And I'm just glad that hopefully I'm inspiring somebody. My goal is for somebody to see my channel and change their life.
Yeah. We have another question. I'm interviewing Russ Homesick Buckeye on Sunday. Any advice, Rick?
Be ready.
You ready for the jokes?
Yes. If you're going to interview Russ, expect to have fun. That's the whole idea. We're not talking serious. Here we go. We got a little bit higher now.
There you go. 170 or 73 with a pulse of 75.
Is that enough to get a heart attack?
Not quite. Keep going. Keep going,
man.
Rick. Keep going.
It's like, I think even Russ says that it's just slightly above a dead body.
Yeah.
Russ is the only one who had the courage to meet me in person. So out of all the carnivores out there, he is the only one so far.
Russ is a good guy. What was that?
He's very good.
So the live that he has now, it's what's it called? What does he call it now?
We're grilling.
Okay, so
Cookout.
it's still Keto Cookout. Okay.
Yes.
Because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
he had
Baby.
originally too, with a few other people. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had like the more popular people in there, but I guess they bailed out because they all went in the direction of the movie, whatever. So they're all in that little mutual admiration society. But Russ, he just wants to have fun. Russ is not out there trying to make a name for himself. He just wants to be a real person. So he got Laura and he got me on there and said, hey, we're going to run it ourselves. People want to watch, they can watch. If they don't want to watch, they can go to the more popular channels.
That's right. Laura Russell's on there a lot, right?
Laura Russell's on there every other week.
Yeah.
We alternate.
Okay.
So one week you get some good information. The other week you get a bunch of quackery.
So Johnny, I watched for your sprinting. That's great.
I appreciate it. I love it. If there's one thing I could do every day, I would sprint every day. I love it so much. It's my newest addiction. And, at 58 and a half years old, I really can't do it every day because when I sprint, that's as hard as I can possibly go. And usually, like I sprinted today was Wednesday. Friday, I'm going to be a basket case. It takes 48 hours for all that stuff to work out of your system. But
Wow.
I won't be doing a whole lot of exercise on Friday. I might go to the gym tomorrow, but then Friday I'll be. It kind of catches up with me. But I don't know if you guys know, but I'm preparing for the senior games or the senior Olympics for next year, April of 2026. I'm going to run the 50 meter dash, the 100 meter dash, and I think I'm going to add the standing broad jump in because I've been doing that lately, and I'm actually getting pretty good at that.
Does catching parking lot chicken count as sprinting?
It does. It's very much so.
Okay.
The quick stop and go sprinting.
Well, yeah, you got to go like sideways and around, and when you're holding a net, you got that net. You got to hold it close to you, so you got good balance. and then you take off, because the chickens always try to go towards either the road or the canal. So you got to try to go on that side, so they'll go towards the wall. And once they go towards the wall, then you can pass them up and catch them. But chickens are quick. They can maneuver around like crazy. Ducks are easy to catch. I mean, those things are a joke. They fly away. That's how they get away. But, you know, they're easy to get. But the chickens, they are quick.
Yeah.
Rick, do you remember? Do you remember the very first Rocky movie, the original Rocky?
Yeah.
With Burgess Meredith and, you know, Sylvester Stallone. That's when Burgess Meredith became Sylvester Stallone's trainer. He had him trying to catch a chicken. That was his first workout. Remember that?
I don't remember that. Huh.
I remember seeing that.
That's the original. Yeah.
But I'm good at catching chickens. Let's put it that way. Sometimes when I don't have a net, I have to dive down on them to grab them.
Okay, we have a couple questions, so I'm gonna hit the first one here. Do you have any hints on how to sleep? As soon as I lay down, I feel wide awake and brain
won't stop.
Brain won't stop. There we go. Okay, so what do you think about that one, Rick? Do you have run into issues with that?
I usually have no trouble sleeping, but you have to remember that I work physically, and I tend to eat like I've already eaten, so you don't want to eat too close to bedtime, although sometimes I have eaten close to bedtime and I still fell asleep. But I think the main thing is you got to find a way to reduce your stress, because if your cortisol level's high, you're not going to be able to sleep. So you have to change your lifestyle in such a way where you don't stress over too many things. And that's hard to do. Most people have a family, they're married, they have kids or whatever. They may have their parents nagging them. It could be anything. But unless you can reduce your stress, I really don't see how you can fall asleep.
What do you think, Johnny?
Well, I'm going to add a little bit to what Rick said. I'm real big on not eating close to bedtime. I try to eat 4 or 5 hours before I go to bed. I don't eat anything close to bedtime. If I feel snacky, it can wait till tomorrow. I do take some magnesium. I supplement because I have AFib. And I got where I'm taking my magnesium at night. I was taking it first thing in the morning, but I've transitioned to taking it at night. And that can help. Studies show that it can relax you. It's a smooth muscle relaxer. I also have an eye mask, one of those eye masks that I bought. And so it's, you know, when I put that on, it's completely pitch black dark. There's a street light right outside of our bedroom window, and it's hard to get, even with the blinds closed and the curtains closed, it's hard to get it completely dark in our bedroom. So I bought me one of those. Actually, my wife bought it for me, one of those eye masks. And I tend to try to get it cold at night in my bedroom. I want it to be cold where I can pull up the covers and get cozy. And that's all I got. The magnesium, you know, try to shut your mind off, do some deep breathing, meditate, pray, you know, whatever. Find a book and read it, like maybe the last hour before you go to bed in a very quiet place. Just try to turn off all the stimulus that stimulates your brain. Try to reduce that as much as you can. And try the magnesium. I bought it at CVS across the street. Magnesium glycinate is the one I take, and it won't hurt you, and it might help.
I'm glad you brought up the reading, because that is a big thing. Try and stay away from watching TV, being on your phone. You know, watching. I know we all like to watch YouTube and everything, but stay away from that. Like the last hour or so before bed, half hour to an hour. That phone's probably okay. And try and get a little bit of reading in, even if it's like 15-20 minutes. All of those things, staying away from the cell phone, I should say, the cell phone here, this type of phone. You know, that all kind of helps your brain to kind of relax, and I think that'll help a little bit. Let's see. Johnny, have you noticed greater strength and stability in your feet since you've been sprinting?
Absolutely. It's uncanny. I cannot believe how much more steady I feel. And this is not about the muscles. Rick will probably be able to tell you this. This is not about muscles. This is about your central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord. When you're sprinting, especially at my age, when you're sprinting, you have to be laser focused on your arms and your feet, because if you get tripped up, it's disaster. So I'm noticing that my video today, if you guys get a chance to watch my video, I did 15. After I did all my other exercises, I did 15 push-ups with my feet up on a bench. I usually can only do 8 or 10. I did 15 today and probably could have done 10 more. sprinting, it releases something called myokines, which is a substance that gets in your blood and it goes to all your muscles. And it says increase oxygenation, increase muscle size, strength, contractility. And since I've been sprinting, it's amazing how it's affected my arms, my shoulders, my chest, my abs. You think it's just in your legs, but that's why I said earlier, I'm so addicted to it, because it's an all around great thing. The biggest advantage, I think, is coming from the central nervous system, because you have to lock in and be focused when you're running as fast as you can on flat ground. Uphill, not so much, but on flat ground, if you get going too fast, your feet, you won't be able to keep up with your feet and you'll fall. So with that, it's been great. I mean, I need to start sprinting up hills to build more my glute muscles up to try to get faster. When I first started sprinting, I was very apprehensive to do it on level ground. I certainly don't want to sprint downhill because I'll bust my butt if I do that. But it's been amazing. And I saw this Dr. Sean. I would never thought I would sprint at almost 60 years old. That's ridiculous. But I saw Dr. Sean O'Mara that Brian referenced earlier, and he talked about the advantages of it. And I watched Dr. Baker, Sean Baker. He just did a track and field meet against a bunch of high schoolers doing the 50-meter dash or the 100-meter dash. And yeah, I recommend it. Start out slow, just do like 20 yards and just kind of do a little bit of a jog, time yourself with a stopwatch. I went on Amazon and I bought a laser timing system for like $300, and it works great. But start out really, really slow and just try to improve a little bit, and only do 4 or 5 or 6, and then you're done for the day, because you can overdo it pretty easy in sprinting. Once you get to the point where you can go all out, it's very, very taxing, which means you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. When I sprint, if I do just sprints, it's a 15, 20-minute workout and I'm back home. If I go to the gym, it's an hour. So it saves me a ton of time, and I feel like I get more benefit. But thank you for the question.
Okay. Smooth gave us their blood pressure. Look at this, 107 over 64, already 66. That's pretty cool. A1, by the way, is a 2-year sprinter, pretty much daily. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia is here, and she has a question. Do you make sure you do stretches also, Johnny? I am finding that stretching makes me feel better than even the sprinting.
I do stretches on days I don't work out. I lay on the floor. I have mobility issues. I drove a tractor trailer for about 11 years. And when you drive a tractor trailer, you sit in the exact same position for 11, 12, 13 hours a day, every single day. And that's not good for the body, obviously. So on the days that I don't go to the gym, the days that I don't sprint, I lay on the floor and I take my, my knees, and I keep my back flat against the floor, and I do my knees back and forth to stretch out my hips. I take one leg and lay it over the other one. And I try to do more dynamic stretching, so I'm moving versus static stretching where you're just holding a position. If I do hold a position, it's just for a couple of seconds. But I do a lot of twists. I do my arms. So I'm doing a lot of that too. But if you combine that with sprinting, it's amazing.
Okay. 40 more Carnivore says she found 6% milk fat cottage cheese at Sprouts last week. That's cool.
Wow.
I wonder is that the Good Culture one? That's the 6% is the double cream. I wonder if that's what it is. We got another question here too, by the way. Darko says, "Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well." Yeah, so they have a low fat one that's 2%, full, I think it's called full or whole milk, that's 4%, and then double cream is 6%. I have not found the double cream one yet. Right. I know they have it out there, but I haven't been able to find it around here. Okay, so Darko says, "I have a hard time with the taste of meat or eggs, even when I add seasonings, and it always leads me to under eating. Do I just need to stick it out longer?" So I'll take this one first. So if you have trouble with the taste, here's something you can try. So Johnny and I were talking earlier about adding a little fermentation in, and I've been doing exactly what Dr. Sean O'Mara says. So I have some, I think it's called the whole milk yogurt, and then I have some goat yogurt, and I have some cottage cheese, and I also bought some sauerkraut recently. You can take just a little bit of each and put it on your plate, and you dip the meat in there, and it actually kind of changes the taste a little bit. So see if that makes a difference for the taste and if you're able to eat it that way or not. That might help. Plus the other thing is all of those things you're looking for, yogurts and cottage cheese and sauerkraut that have live and active cultures, because that has the bacteria that's going to be good for your gut health. And that may be part of your taste thing, and it's going to help your gut. And then that's going to help with your, with the taste of the food as well. So Rick, Johnny, do you have any other thoughts on this one?
I've always liked the taste of meat, so it would be hard for me to imagine. But yeah, you could add the fermented material too. I mean, then again, if you're not really that sick, you could always eat your meat with some plant material if you want to. I mean, I don't think it's going to kill you if you eat a couple of pieces of fruit, but I don't really understand what it is about the taste of meat that you wouldn't like, or eggs, because to me, that's what I really crave. I don't really crave anything else. I don't use seasonings at all. I don't salt. I don't pepper. I don't do anything. I mean, I do salt my heart attack chicken, but I never salt beef. I rarely salt seafood, and I don't salt the pork either. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think too, that's something with the seasoning. I think with the seasoning, that's something that after you've been on the diet for a while, eating this way for a while, you need less and less seasoning. You don't really think about seasoning anymore. So maybe that's part of it. Darko's been newer on the diet, and maybe it is going to take a while. What do you think, Johnny?
Well, I think you make a great point, Brian, because as you were answering and as Rick was talking, I was thinking, when I first started this diet, I was buying all these different seasonings, the meat church and all the barbecue type seasonings. And I guess without purposely doing it, I'm down to just Redmond's real salt now. And because I'm outside, I know Rick's outside and he sweats a lot, but Rick's body is a whole lot more, set up for this than I am. So I still use a good bit of Redmond's real salt. The only thing I can say to help you get over this is mustard. I do put mustard. If I make burger patties, I might put a little mustard on there. It's 0 carb. It gives it some flavor. It may be a bridge to get you. I haven't used mustard in probably 6 or 8 weeks, but there for a while, I might take some pickle juice and sprinkle some pickle juice on there, or a couple of dill pickles with my hamburger patties. But my taste buds have slowly but surely changed where, Brian, I don't think I've had anything other than beef in probably 2 months now. Beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. And that was not by design. That's just what I buy, and that's just what I eat. And I don't need any seasoning now. I couldn't imagine putting seasoning on my food now, where a year ago I couldn't imagine eating food without seasoning. So it's been a gradual transition, and maybe just stick it out and see how it goes. But try the mustard, or maybe a little pickle juice or something, just to get you over that bridge.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. I'm going to let Rick answer this first, because I think his answer might be neither. But if you can do one thing, what is it? Heavy lifting or sprints?
Well, I don't really do any structured exercise. The only time I have to lift something heavy is when it's part of the job. So, but a lot of people, they do spend, people that make good money, generally, they don't do physical work. They're normally sitting in front of a computer or at a desk doing something else. And I would think, just my opinion, for the average person, try the sprints. But if you're not healthy enough to do that, then I think the weight training would be a better choice, because you could have disabilities. I know several people that have different disabilities, and they're still able to do the weight training as long as they do it in a structured and intelligent way. But to do sprints, you got to have a certain level of health. If you have, for example, injured knees, or you have muscle issues or tendons that are damaged, it's going to be very hard to do a sprint. But you could definitely do the weight training. So that would be my opinion.
Okay. Johnny, how would you answer this one?
Well, for me, it's a no-brainer. It would be sprinting, but that's not to say that I don't enjoy lifting weights. I love lifting weights. I've got some free weights that I've been buying. I don't make a lot of money, but I do make some money. But I go to like Academy Sports or Dick's Sporting Goods if I can find they have weight plates on sale. If I'm building me a weight set, like one piece at a time as I go, And I enjoy that too. I love doing push-ups. I love doing squats. If you watch my video today, I did some squats with holding a 25-pound plate. I have tendon issues. I have very stiff ankles. I'm not able to stand and squat, so I have to elevate my ankles. So I got these things off Amazon where it's like a wedge that you stand on, and now I can squat all the way down and stand up because my ankles aren't like this; they're like this. And so I'm, sprinting would be definitely yes, but if you're in a wheelchair, sprinting is out of the question, right? If you have spina bifida, if you have one, a leg amputated, there's a lot of issues that could come into play that would prevent you from sprinting. And I think lifting heavy weights appropriately with maybe some coaching would be a very close second. But for me, it's sprinting all day long. And it doesn't cost anything. I go to the park and I just run. I mean, I invested in that laser timing system because I'm working towards a goal of entering that competition. But prior to that, I would just go to the park and just run. I would just run from this pole to this pole. I didn't spend a dime, and I would try to go a little bit faster every time I went back. I started out just jogging. This was not an all-out sprint. I did a video on that. I started out just a little bit faster than walking, and little by little by little, as my muscles got stronger, my ligaments, my tendons got stronger, my central nervous system got better. I'm now to where I'm running as hard as I can go, but I certainly did not start out that way. I started out as almost a fast walk, but look what it's built up to over time and consistency.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say in a perfect world, it would be neither, because in a perfect world, I think we're getting back to our roots and we're outside doing activity all the time. And if you're able to do all that activity, you don't really need to do these other things. These other things that we do is like a specific set of exercise and so forth, is because in our world today, so many of us are not doing like we used to do, right? But if you think about it, like if you're out there doing whatever, yard work or whatever all day long, you might even have to do some running for whatever you're doing, but you're getting all kinds of activity. You're actually working your muscles and everything. And that's a perfect world. Unfortunately, in our world today, most people don't have that. There are people that do have that, and that is great. But if you don't have that, it's really hard to pick one of those. Even though I don't do sprinting, I keep saying I want to do sprinting, and I know sprinting is really good. And the reason is because sprinting works so many of your muscles, right, throughout your body. But I actually don't do it at this point. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I just haven't got to that point of doing it. And I do weightlifting. So that's what I do, but I don't know which one I could say. If you could only pick one, I guess for me, because I've always been the person that can lift weights, maybe that's what I would say. But again, in a perfect world, it wouldn't be either one. We would just be more active. Whatever it is that we're doing. Like, I mean, Rick's perfect example. He's active all the time, so he doesn't have to do those things. So that's what I would go with. Do every other day of each. This was in response to her question. Lifting is so boring to me, and to warm my back up, I like to sprint. So every other day of each. Rockin' Keto Amy is here, so hello. And I'm falling behind on comments again.
Amy's here.
I wanted to bring this one up. This was to Darko's question. When I first did carnivore, this is Cynthia saying, I didn't like the taste of meat or eggs either. It took about 6 months for me to really crave and like it. Now I can't imagine eating anything else. So I wanted to make sure I brought that one up. I have to catch up. I'm like 20 comments behind, and I don't know if there's any questions. So you guys talk while I'm looking through here for questions.
Well, the question was about lifting weights or sprinting, and Rick does both. Rick has a very physically demanding job. He's lifting, he's twisting, he's pulling, he's pushing. And then if he's going to try to catch an iguana or catch a chicken or even ducks, he's doing that. He's riding his bicycle. I mean, the perfect world that Brian describes, Rick is living it. I mean, that's his day to day. Am I right, Rick? Am I being accurate there? All the movements that the body needs to do, you do it.
And the thing is, I live in a very cluttered house, so I have to be careful where I go. I have to step over things, go between things. I climb trees. I climb up and down on the roof. I get under the car. It's like you wouldn't believe the positions that I get in. And people are always saying, well, Rick, how do you fit in there? You're so tall. I said, I'm tall, but I'm thin and I'm flexible. I mean, I don't even weigh 200 pounds and I'm 6'6". So I'm not the kind of person that's going to get stuck. You know, you bend down and you can't stand up. You can see I even made a video. There was one of the influencers that was talking about a sit and stand test. So I made a video of that like over a year ago. I went in my front yard and squatted down and stood up with my legs, and I had no problem, because they were saying that it's very rare for somebody over 50 to be able to do that without a problem. And I sit down like that all the time. I sit down in the squatted position. People watch me work and they're like, how do you do that? I cross my legs in a really strange way, you know, almost twisted up. And they say, I don't know how you can do that. So, well, when you're skinny and you're that tall and you're flexible, you don't have any joint pains. I can bend my leg in almost any position and nothing hurts. So I guess it's just all the years of being on the carnivore diet and then being active, it really makes a difference. But I have other friends that are mechanics and they work in construction. And by the time they get to my age, they're pretty much worn out. They can't really do what they used to. So they look at me like, how in the world? I was digging through the dumpster today, pulling out a bunch of lights. I reach over and I pull it out. And the one guy's like, I don't know how you do it. My back wouldn't allow me to do that. In my entire life, I've never had a back pain, ever.
I think Johnny froze us. Oh, he's back. Okay. There's this one comment I want to bring up here. It says sprinting losses and weightlifting puts muscle on. I'm not sure if they're saying that sprinting causes muscle loss, because it doesn't. Cardio,
No.
so jogging does. Jogging,
Right.
but not sprinting. Sprinting actually builds muscle just like weightlifting. But if you're in they call the cardio zone, where you're just doing like jogging, you're more long style, like people run like the 5Ks or whatever they are, that kind of stuff. That stuff you tend to actually lose muscle mass. But the sprinting actually gains muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is go online and look up a picture of a sprinter next to a picture of a distance runner. The sprinter
Mhm.
looks like a superhero, and the distance runner looks like a cancer patient.
Mm-hmm.
Just fact check me on that. Fact check me. Look up a picture of a sprinter versus a distance runner, same age, and I guarantee you the guy on the right, the sprinter, is going to look like a superhero. And he probably doesn't spend a lot of time in the gym. Those muscles come from those myokines I was talking about earlier.
Well, your leg muscles are the biggest muscles in the body. So if you're
Yep.
constantly putting them to the test, you're going to build more of the muscle building factors, and it just makes sense. You know, I think it even raises your testosterone if you're a male.
Yep.
I lift, then I wait. Wait, I can't talk. I lift, then wait, then lift, then wait. Does that count?
Lifting weights. Yeah.
So if I'm skinny muscular, I should do heavy lift first, I guess. You know, I don't know. I'll let you guys answer this too, but I think the cool thing about sprinting and the cool thing about weightlifting is you're comparing yourself to yourself. You're trying to beat what you did the last time, right? And it's the same thing with the weightlifting. Like the heavy weightlifting, it doesn't have to be really heavy weights. It's what's heavy to you, right? And it's better to do a short amount, so short reps. And it's kind of the same thing with sprinting. Like Johnny said, when he first started out, like if I started out now, my sprinting would look like some crazy old guy jogging. But that's okay, because I would work to get faster each time I did it. So I don't know. I'll let you guys answer this too, but I don't. It's both about comparing to yourself. So I don't know which one would be best to start with.
Well, for me, lifting heavy, I mean, you got to think about why you're lifting. Why are you lifting anything? For me, because I'm going on 60 and I take care of older people. You guys may or may not know, I work on an ambulance. I do non-emergency transport. I take people from the hospital back to the nursing home, or from the hospital to hospice for them to pass away. And sometimes I'll take them home if they're going home. But And I'm seeing people just a little bit older than Rick and I, and some people our age that can't stand up. They can't get up off the toilet. They can't stand up off the bed. They can't transition from the bed to the chair in the same room. I see this every single day. So if you're going to lift, are you trying to build muscle to look good? Are you trying to build structural skeletal muscle so that you don't fall? Are you trying to improve your central nervous system so that you're able to move left and right quickly, or, get out of the way or not fall? I mean, what are you lifting for? So for me at this point, the things I'm doing, the sprinting is because it's a little bit of a vanity thing, because I want to enter this competition next year and do the senior Olympics basically. But you think about why it is you're lifting. If you're lifting just to get stronger and to live longer and be overall healthier and get blood pressure like Rick has, then that's something to think about. But why are you lifting? What are you doing? And what is your goal with that? And so I would consider that. I don't know if that made any sense, but some people just want to build big biceps, so they do bicep curls all the time. Some people want big traps, so they're doing all this. It just depends on what your goal is. For me, my goal is to not end up in the back of the ambulance in the next 30 years. What you got, Rick?
Well, I know from experience, when I was younger, I wanted to put on some muscle because I was so skinny. I used to feel really self-conscious about being skinny. I look like an anorexic vegan or something. But the older I've gotten, I don't care anymore. What's the point? Sure, I could add some muscle, maybe not. But it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. You have to eat a certain way. It becomes your whole life. And for what purpose? What I do, I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but everything that I need to do for my job, I can do it. I'm functional. I can do everything I need to do at home. I can fix anything. I can build anything. So for me, what's the sense? Just because my arms are skinny and I don't have any muscle, it's not necessary for me because, first of all, I'm 6'6". So I don't really have to put the image of being a little muscle guy, because when you're short, a lot of times you want to build the muscle to be impressive. When you're 6'6", whether you're skinny or muscular or whatever, people have to look at you as like, you're not the average person. But functionally, I do really, really well. Everybody I know that's been into bodybuilding and that has put a lot of time into building muscle, they've torn tendons, they've had injuries, they have joint issues. There's a price to pay. When you're pushing your body hard to build a massive amount of muscle to be aesthetic, there's always going to be some type of damage. It's just normal. Now, obviously, if you don't work physically all the time, maybe you compete, I don't know, or you just want to be around people and be impressive, it's not an issue. If you can deal with the injuries, which are going to happen, and you can work around them, it's not so bad. But all the older people that I've known, that they never exercised, they lived into their 90s, they were functional, but they were constantly moving, they were constantly going in different positions, they weren't sitting around all day. Now, if your job is sitting in front of a computer, as I've said many times, you really do need to think of having some type of strength training program, because sitting in a chair, especially if you're stressed out all day dealing with clients or dealing with, whatever you do on a computer, you don't exercise, your cortisol level is going to be high, and then your muscles, they're just going to waste away because you're not really using them. And I know several people that were in great shape when they're younger, but now they're terrible. It's like Johnny says, they can barely stand up. People my age, they have to hold on to something to stand up. And I look at that, I go, I don't have to hold anything. I stand up all the time. I don't hold on anything. I ride a bike on some really uneven terrain. I've hit all kinds of holes. I've had the wheel come off, all these things, and I've fallen off. But every time I fell off, I didn't get injured because I was able to react quickly, put my hand out, roll sideways. I've had all kinds of mishaps. I've been on the job, something fell, and I instantly blocked it with my hand, or I moved away. We had one time we were taking down a really big parking lot light, and the guy I was working with wasn't that smart. He started cutting it with a torch. The thing broke, and I saw it coming, and I dashed away. The thing came crashing down, and everybody thought that I was done for. Where's Rick? We got to find him, because that thing came down, and it brought down a tree with it and everything. And I walked from the back, and I'm like, I'm fine. What? How did you get there? It was like an instant reaction, like that, and then around and went to the back. And I've had so many of these things happen over the years. And I tell people it's because you don't have to really be massive and muscular. You just have to have that control where your mind can control the muscles. And I've never been injured. I lift heavy things. If I can't lift it, I just drop it. I know a lot of people, they pick up luggage when they're on a vacation and boom, there goes the back. I have a friend that had to have the carpal tunnel syndrome because he spent so much time on the computer. He went to pick up some luggage and the thing just, I don't know, it snapped or something. So he had to have surgery. And then they always have trouble with their neck. They have trouble with the knees and everything. So that's just my opinion. You know, again, if you're a younger guy and you want to attract the women and you want to build the great body, hit the gym. That's great. But if you're an older person, you know, gym may work. But if you just do functional movements, maybe a little more gardening, maybe a little more physical work, maybe some sprinting, whatever you can do, I don't think you're going to need it.
Yeah. Couple quick things, and then there's some other things I want to get to in the chat here. But Target says, doesn't Dr. Baker do sprinting? Yes, he does. As Johnny said, he just recently ran a race against high school kids, right? Was it college?
Yep.
High school, I think.
High school, yeah.
Sprinting is an overall full body workout. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Here's something I want to get to. There's a lot of comments in the chat about this one too. Please enlighten me how a complete lack of fiber does not kill you. So I'll let you both answer this. I'm just gonna say really quickly, fiber is not necessary. There's nothing in fiber that you can't get from other things. And actually, the interesting thing is if you have some sort of GI problems, one of the first things they do is tell you to cut back on the fiber. If fiber was so needed, then why would you have to do that? But Johnny, we'll go to you first. What's your take on the fiber?
When I ate a high fiber, I used to eat a lot of salad. I ate a terrible American diet, but I ate a lot of salad, and I had GI problems for 35 years. I had loose stools for 35, maybe 40 years. Every day, it ruled my life. It was terrible. Since I quit eating fiber, and I eat zero fiber in my diet, with the exception of the occasional sauerkraut. Other than that, there's really no fiber in my diet whatsoever. And I just recently started that. But I have a normal, healthy BM every single morning. I have no gas, no bloating. I don't burp. I don't fart. I mean, my GI tract has never been better. Both my parents, my mother and my father, both had colon cancer. I don't worry about that because they had all those GI problems because they had a lot of fiber. Fiber is not a nutrient. I've seen multiple doctors, multiple nutritionists that have come along to the fact that fiber is not necessary in the human diet at all. I can't give you the science right here in this short time span that we have, but I promise you, my GI tract has never, ever been this good. I mean, I'm like when I was 7 or 8 years old, that's how I go to the bathroom every single morning, like clockwork. And I have no bloating, no gas, no stomach ache, no GERD, nothing. So you could do some more research on it with a low carb doctor or something like that. Dr. Annette Boswell does a really good job explaining this, and so does Dr. Anthony Chafee. But all I can tell you is my GI tract is the best it's ever been, and it's such a better life.
Rick, what do you think?
I have no idea where this fiber myth came from because the only time I've used fiber is when I make fiberboard to make ceiling tiles. I can't imagine stuffing yourself with something you can't digest. I mean, really, what is the point? You might as well just eat cardboard. Just get some cardboard and some paper and put some spices on it and chew it up. That's plenty of fiber. Cellulose is a fiber, but you can't digest it. It's like all the fiber in the salad. You can absorb some nutrients. That was the whole idea my dad used to say about juicing. They used to juice the vegetables to get the nutrients out of it, and then the fiber, they would throw it away. So I don't understand where this whole idea came from. And then it's like people say, well, you can't go to the bathroom if you don't eat fiber. Well, if you're stuffing yourself with all that fiber, try dumping some fiber down your drain in the kitchen and see how well that works. So I don't understand where the myth came from. But again, cows eat all kinds of fiber, but they have to ferment it they have to get bacteria in there and then swallow it, then regurgitate it back up, chew it some more, and then go back in. And what are they doing? The bacteria are converting the fiber into fats. Even if we could ferment that fiber into fats, we can't absorb fats in the large intestine. That takes place in the small intestine with the liver and the bile and all that. So really, what are you doing? You're just making compost in your body, and then you're pooping it out. So the only thing you're getting from eating more fiber is bigger poop, which I guess if you're using it to compost, maybe that's an advantage. But how much wear and tear does that do on your body? All that stuff sitting in there, not digesting, that can't be good. But again, it's such a common thing. It's like everybody says the whole grains, whole grains, whole grains. Well, all that, those little particles and all those materials, I know from experience when I would eat the whole grain bread when I was a kid, the oatmeal and all that. When you go to the bathroom, you can actually see some of that little bits and pieces of whole grains and all that other nonsense. You eat corn, you see like little corn pieces in there. And even when you have peanuts, I ate peanuts as a kid. You have peanut pieces that come out, but I've never had steak pieces or ground beef pieces or pork or chicken ever come out. It's just a bunch of brown bacteria, and that's it. And the thing is, I go to the bathroom once a day, every day. I eat no fiber. I haven't eaten fiber since I did that plant-based experiment in '93, and I'm still here. I have no gas, no diarrhea. The only time I get diarrhea is when I get the flu, maybe for a day or so, and that's it. And I work outside. I never have to worry about having an accident, because if I feel like I might want to go to the bathroom, I can wait. I've had times where lunchtime, I figure, well, I could go to the bathroom, and I can wait, and I come home, no problem. When I was on the plant-based diet, you had 15 minutes to find a toilet, or you're done. And then, again, if you can't digest it, why eat it? Plus, another thing that I've learned in recent years is that fiber acts like an anti-nutrient, and that can actually bind to the food that you really need, and it takes the nutrients out with it. So you're basically, even if you eat good food and then you eat the fiber with it, you're actually pooping out a lot of that value instead of having it digest, because it's locked up with that fiber. So it's, I don't know. To me, fiber is bad.
Yeah. I'll go back to sprinting here really quick. The sprinter is Jack. Dr. Sean O'Mara has a client that is a sprinter with almost zero visceral fat and extremely muscular. Never skip leg day. Yeah. This goes back a ways, but Amy said, Rick, you just described my sedentary desk job to a T. This is when we were talking about being active and so forth. That's exactly me too. Like, I work all day long at a computer, and then like on Wednesdays, I'm now here sitting at a computer doing this. That's why some of us have to actually go out and do things. The people like Rick that are able to do that pretty much all day long as part of their jobs and so forth. I feel like those, as I've gotten up older, I've realized that those are the people that are actually lucky. One other thing I want to say real quick about the fiber thing. There's a lot in the chat, and just way too much to really bring up. But there's been some posts in there about different studies and so forth. I'm going to pull Bart K here. There is no study that you can really say on nutrition is necessarily accurate. Most of them are funded one way or another, and they're slanted towards that funding. And also, I am not aware of any study that took basically maybe twins or something like that, put them into locked, closed doors, made sure that one ate exactly a certain way, the other one ate exactly a different way, and compared them. So therefore, most studies are going to be flawed. That's my take there. I hope I haven't missed questions. There's been a lot of comments here. I mean, there's been crazy comments tonight. Rick really brought a lot of people with comments.
I have the most active subscribers of any channel, I think.
Yeah. See, there's a lot more stuff here about the studies and stuff, but I'll stay out of that.
While you look, Brian, I was going to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
If a company does a study, if a company pays for a study, they own that information. So if the study shows different than what they want, they're not under any obligation to publish that study. So they can do a study saying that X is great and Y is bad. But if that's not what they want that study to say, they're under no legal obligation to post that study because they own it. They paid for it. That's the problem with having a company pay for a study. They're only going to release the studies that favor what they want. That's legal.
Right.
You can fact check me on that legally. If you pay for a study, you do not have to release it.
That's right.
Yep. Lizzie says, anyone like walking or sprinting in the cold? For some reason, I love it. 45 and below gets me outside every time. Well, Rick, I don't know that it ever gets to 45 where you're at. So.
Very rarely.
45 Celsius, maybe.
It will a little bit. It will a little bit where I'm at in the winter time. We actually get snow sometimes. It's funny, like about once every 5 or 6 years, we'll get like a really big snowfall, like maybe a foot or more. Most of the time we don't get much snow. What about you, Johnny? You're even more south than me, so you're somewhere in between Rick and I.
Yeah.
You get cold enough for that?
Sometimes. I do enjoy walking when it's cold. I probably enjoy walking more when it's 45 or 40 degrees outside, more than when it's 101 with a high humidity. Proof positive. I ended up in the hospital a couple weeks ago. I haven't done any sprints in the wintertime. When I drove my truck, when I was a truck driver, I'd be in the Midwest. It'd be really cold, and I would run some sprints out there, but I would be bundled up. Keep your muscles warm. You don't want to do really strenuous exercise if your muscles are really cold, because that's a recipe for disaster. But I enjoy walking all the time. I love to walk. Matter of fact, speaking of walking, a quick aside, I think I'm getting ready to buy me a weighted vest. I'm going to start wearing a weighted vest at work, about a 25-pound vest or whatever. Did some research, watched some videos, did some studies on weighted vests. Because I don't do a lot of sprinting, obviously, on the days that I work. And I work 13, 14-hour days. But if I put on a 20-pound vest and walked, back and forth across the hospital and in and out of the nursing homes, that might be something that I can do on the days where because sometimes I work 4 or 5 days straight, 12, 13 hours a day. So I might give me a weighted vest. And if I do that, then I'll definitely use it in the cold weather too.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but before I started Carnivore, I was very overweight. I still consider myself a little bit overweight at this point, but that's another story. But I was hot all the time when I was really overweight, right? It seems like I was always hot. Now the interesting thing is in the wintertime, I'm pretty cold, and I never used to be cold in the wintertime. But now that I've lost weight, I get pretty cold. Did you guys see the same things with being lighter? No?
It's funny you bring that up, Brian. When I lost all the weight before my mom died, when I did the whole very low fat, grilled chicken breast, broccoli, and brown rice every day, I was cold for an entire year. I could not get warm. Fat is what helps you regulate your body temperature. And because I got down to 220 pounds, which is 100 and a few pounds less than I was, I shivered. It could be 100 degrees and I could not get warm. I shivered all the time. I was miserable. You got to have fat. You got to have some, not visceral fat, but the regular subcutaneous fat to help keep you warm. But to your point, Brian, some of that's probably aging, because as we age, our skin's going to get a little bit thinner. You're going to feel more of that cold. But a lot of it's just getting all that adipose or that fat off your body, that insulation, and allowing your body to breathe a little bit.
I got about 14% body fat. I never get cold. The few times that it does get cold here, maybe in the upper 30s, I go outside in my underwear and my friends think I've lost it. I don't get cold easy. It's very difficult for me to get cold. Only when I get sick. Now, when I get sick, I'll get cold. It could be 95 degrees and I'm shivering. I'm sweating and shivering at the same time, but I feel cold. But when I'm healthy, I never get cold. Or if I get really wet and I go in the air conditioning, then I can get cold. But when I'm dry, I don't get cold.
Yeah. Amy says when she started to lose weight, she was freezing. Then she started having hot flashes. Now she's miserable, either burning up or freezing. Body can't make up its mind. Used to weigh 370 pounds and was always warm, hot. Yeah. Carnivore warmed up my hands.
And my hands are
Improve
never
circulation.
cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. What were you saying, Rick, about your hands?
My hands are never cold. A lot of the people that I work with or do work for, you shake their hand and it's like ice. My hands are never cold.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I think I'm caught up on comments, and I hope I didn't miss any questions. If I did miss a question, just put it back in there. There's been a lot of comments going back around. There's a lot of comments about the whole fiber thing, so we did enough talk about that one. So, and again, you know, our topic was longevity on carnivore. Rick doesn't eat fiber. Look at him. Rick's perfectly fine. So, anyway, let's go back here. I'd rather be freezing. I can put clothes on, but it's harder to take clothes off. Well, depending on where you're at, I guess. If you're in your own home, you can take your clothes off. But yeah. Carnivore has made me become very temperature tolerant, both hot and cold.
Yeah, me too, to some degree.
Duck feather. All right, so let's see. I'd like to try and keep these down to an hour and a half. So I'd say we got about 10 more minutes. We're almost getting to an hour and a half. So we got about 10 more minutes. Rick, anything that you want to talk about, or you want to ask us even?
Let's see. Well, since you've both been carnivore for a few years now, do you personally, I know both of you would have wanted to start earlier, but do you think that when you were younger, if somebody like me would have told you that the carnivore diet was something that was sustainable or something that would make you feel better, do you think you would have tried it when you were younger before you got sick? Or would you have waited until you had all these health conditions before you tried it?
That's an excellent question. Johnny, I'll let you go first.
I would like to tell myself, oh, I would have jumped right on, you know, but when I was young, I was really into BMX bicycle racing. I was very active. I didn't really start getting sick until I graduated high school and went to work in fast food, and I delivered pizza at night. And then I got married early, had a family right off the bat. And, you know, by that time, I was just rolling with whatever the doctor told me to do. But I'd like to believe that maybe I would have, but the truth of the matter is probably not. I wish I could, you know, if I ever build a time machine, I'm going to go back and undo all the damage that I did for 55 years.
Yeah. I think it's one of those hindsight things. Like if I knew now and was able to go back, then yes, I would do it. But I don't think I would if I was teenager, 20 years old, whatever. And somebody said, hey, carnivore diet is what you should be doing. And the reasons why I say that, first of all, is because I was basically a teenager in the 80s. That was the low fat craze. And basically carnivore was bad for you, right? That was like the big thing. So I would have said, well, everybody is saying that it's bad for you, so I think you're crazy that you think it's actually good for you. And I would be the young punky kid saying, I'm perfectly fine with what I'm doing. I mean, I looked like a toothpick. I was so skinny when I was a teenager, right? So I'd be like, you know, and then eventually I would have hit that point where, like I did, I was overweight for years. I had health issues. And I think that's something that happens with a lot of people is no matter what you tell them, until they hit that low point, it just doesn't click with them to do it. I wish that I could go back and say, yes, I would do it, but I don't think I would. And this is interesting because Rick, you know, you kind of are different, but not so different. Like your reasoning, you know, you had said before, your reasoning was that you felt very nervous about going. I can't remember now. It was freshman year of high school, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were very nervous about that, and you were actually looking to sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
So you weren't even doing it because you thought it was the right thing to do, which is even different. So it's an interesting thing. And for you, you did it, and then it was like, oh my God, this actually is really good. We didn't think to do something like that to actually find out that, yeah, this actually works well. And it's funny because I look back and I felt like I was perfectly fine and healthy, but I remember I played basketball in high school and a little bit after high school. And every time after every game, I could barely walk because my ankles were so bad. That's probably a lot of it had to do with my diet, because now I'm 51 and I don't have that kind of an issue from working out, running, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Brian, I got one.
Yeah.
This is a question for you and Rick. This is my turn. Rick, let me ask you a question. Would you rather live, if we're talking about longevity, 75 years in optimal health or 95 years in mediocre health?
75
Longevity.
years in perfect health. That's the foundation of the heart attack diet.
Mhm.
But you, Brian?
Yeah. I'm somebody that has experienced feeling like they only maybe had a couple more years to live, and that's not a good feeling. I wouldn't want to. So if it was 75 years of good health and then the last 20 years were bad, like that's not, I wouldn't want to do that. That's not a good quality of life. It's an interesting thing because there's the whole thing of like, well, you're going to live longer, but you're in pain all the time. Like I've seen it from, family members, like they're in so much pain, or they were in so much pain before they passed away and so forth. Right. It's just not a way to live. It really isn't. Like I would take the 75 years of being in perfect health. I really would.
Cool. My answer too. Because I take people to the nursing home in my job all the time that are, 60, 62, 63 years old, and their life is almost zero. They're so miserable. They can't get up. They have skin breakdown. They've had a leg amputated. Their kidneys are failing. They're doing dialysis. And I'm like, I would rather, it's easy for me to say, but I think I would rather not. I'll take the 75 years into good health. You can keep them other years with the bad health. I'll donate them to somebody else.
Just get the heart attack and get it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be chasing an iguana and have a heart attack.
What a way to go.
Yeah, but it's interesting because, like, just going back to the whole thing where Rick asked us about going to Carnivore when we were younger, like it makes me actually mad that our society has done what it has. It glorifies sugar and candy and stuff like that. Like, you look at Halloween is all about candy. For a lot of people, Easter is all about candy and stuff. It's that is ruining so many people's lives. That actually makes me mad. It really does.
Yeah, except everybody knows candy is unhealthy. That's not what really gets them. It's the granola, the whole wheat bread, and the pasta and all that stuff. That's the sneaky sugar that's really killing people.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. And I mean, you're right. Everybody knows it's bad. Candy is bad, but at the same time, a lot of people don't think that it's going to actually hurt them. But you're right. It's a lot of the other stuff that, we've been told is okay. Like, and like, I mean, the vegetable oils and stuff, different foods, all these processed foods that they're not real food. That why is it that humans think we can just make food when no other species thinks they should eat food that's made? They eat natural food.
Well, no other species has a choice. Our pets get fed that processed crap and they don't do too well either. So,
Yeah.
but in the wild, there is, I mean, yeah, I guess if you're a raccoon going through the garbage, you may be able to get some processed food. But in the wild, they eat what they're basically growing up eating. Their species specific diet is whatever they can get around them. The problem is a lot of humans, their species specific diet now comes out of a box or bag or something like that. And really, as Dustin says right there, isn't it more profitable to mix up a bunch of cheap crap than to give people real food like meat?
Yeah. And then to give them medication to fix the health issue they have instead of telling them to eat properly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most profitable things you can ever find is a sick child. You get a child sick, well, some Fruit Loops and Cheerios and Pop Tarts and Rice Krispie treats and all that stuff. Get them sick early. You've got a customer for life in the hospital, the pharmaceuticals, dialysis. And this is not me speaking on the side of my mouth. I see this every day because all these people that I take to dialysis and I take to the nursing home in their 50s and 60s, it didn't start this week. It started when they were kids and their parents fed them. Well, and I fed my kids the same. I didn't know any better because to Brian's point, that's what we were led to believe. But did you guys see?
Yeah.
Did you guys see Dr. Ken Berry and his wife? They were on two, I think, CBS News and Fox News, talking about feeding their kids the carnivore diet.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Did
really
you-
good, really good.
So did you see his wife Naisha's video afterwards about it? How they cut so much
Yeah.
stuff out? Like she her kids get berries, strawberries usually every day.
Mhm.
They also don't force them to not eat vegetables. Their kids just choose not to eat vegetables because they don't like the taste, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And all that stuff was obviously cut out because the media wanted a certain slant. So Cynthia's got something up here too I want to talk about. It gets me mad that churches, because they push sweets and candy, happen to treating the body as a temple. So this is the thing that gets me. My cardiologist, because I had AFib. I've been 3 years now on the carnivore diet, not a single episode of AFib, but I still go to the cardiologist once a year just to check everything, make sure everything's good. I go to his office. This is a cardiologist that deals with hearts. And what do they have in the waiting room?
Candy.
A big dish of candy for people to eat while they're waiting. Cardiologists. It's just mind-boggling, isn't it, Rick?
Yeah. In mine, it would be pork rinds. Put a sign on there, heart
Brian, real
attack.
quick.
Yeah.
Heart attack snacks.
There you go. And for my mom was a cancer patient, and when she was sitting there doing her chemotherapy, they brought him honey buns, sweet rolls, orange
Yeah.
juice, and donuts. Every single patient got those. And everybody on planet Earth that's got 2 brain cells knows that cancer lives off sugar. So while my mom was getting chemotherapy, they literally handed her sweet rolls, little cinnamon rolls, orange juice, and donuts. It makes perfect sense from a fiduciary financial standpoint. It makes perfect sense.
But what
Cardiologists
would
giving you
happen?
candy in their office, but damn, make sure that you come back.
What would happen when they deal with somebody like me who hates that stuff? And then it's like a federal case. It's like, I'm not eating that duck food. That stuff is crap. What are they going to do? They don't have any options. You go to any of these get-togethers and they have
Yeah.
the candy and the sandwiches and all that. I'm like, where's the food? I thought you're going to have food.
Yeah.
Oh, Rick, you're the caveman. All you want to do is eat meat. Well, that's food for me. I feed my cat meat. Why can't I eat it? Well, you're not a cat.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not, but I eat like one.
Yeah. So we are over an hour and a half. I haven't seen any questions come in. Oh, this would be nice. Beef jerky or pemmican in the waiting room.
There you
Very
go.
good.
All right, so we're over an hour and a half. Rick, I want to thank you for coming on live tonight with us. It's been great talking to you again. I got to get back with you about the interview. We're gonna do an interview. We're gonna do for my channel an updated interview. So it's been like probably 2 years or close to that since I interviewed Rick. So we're gonna do an interview. We're gonna get something going there. Johnny, anything you want to add, and then I'll ask Rick if there's anything, and then we'll call it a night.
No, thank you everybody for joining. This is, I think, by far the biggest crowd we've had. We brought all Rick's subscribers over here to us. I think a lot of you guys subscribed to me and Brian as well, but having Rick on was an honor and a privilege. I had him on for about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and we had technical problems with StreamYard, so it was great to finally get Rick back on and everybody see the conversation that Rick and I had. And I love you to death, Rick. I can't wait to get on there and watch some more bike rides videos. If you're on my channel or Brian's channel, if you're not subscribed to Rick, it's Charger Mopar at Charger Mopar on YouTube. Give Rick a look. He does a Saturday morning live. Is it Saturday at 8, Rick?
Live
Saturday
at 8 with
p.m.
Rick.
Eastern time. Yeah, live with
8
Rick
a.m.
at 8 a.m. on Saturday. And he'll go to sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I leave it on in the background. It's just a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks
12
Rick for
hours
coming
is my
on.
record.
Yeah, I saw that. And last time your electricity got knocked out from the storm, and people stayed on while you were gone.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. And I couldn't get it to shut off when the power came back on. It was crazy.
Anyway, thanks for coming on, Rick. And if you guys get a chance, if you'll check out my video, I put out a video earlier today on my channel, The Carnivore Champion. It's called Why Me? And it's probably not what you think.
All right, Rick, you got any last comments for us before we drop?
Nope. I mean, basically, just keep trying to, keep on the course. Don't fall into the duck food or you'll start waddling and quacking. It's like I tell everybody, snacking leads to quacking. And you know me, I've always used ducks as part of the joke because if you've ever seen a duck walk, they waddle back and forth. They look kind of clumsy. But the good thing about ducks is when they need to move, they can move. But most of the time, they just like, But the problem is when you let yourself eat duck food, you're not going to be like a duck. You won't be able to fly away, and you're not going to be able to get away. You're going to be that person like that commercial they had back in the 80s for Life Call. I've fallen, and I can't get up. And believe me, that is not the place that you want to be. You'd rather be like me when you have that massive heart attack and you drop dead, and there's nothing they can do. By the time they call the rescue, they're like, he's done. There's nothing we can do. Rather than, like Johnny says, being stuck in the nursing home and being a vegetable in the garden. So what would you rather be, a lion or a vegetable? I'd rather be a lion.
Agree. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back. Johnny and I will be back on again next Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central time. Talk to everybody later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.